Have you ever noticed how many ultra-wealthy men seem to cycle through relationships? One day, they're flaunting their new partner on a yacht in Monaco, and the next, they're in a bitter divorce battle that costs them millions. It's a pattern we see repeatedly with billionaires, celebrities, and business moguls. Today, I want to dive into a fascinating question. Why do rich men rarely find true love? Now, this isn't about bashing wealthy men or suggesting they're inherently unlovable. That would be ridiculous. But there are some unique challenges and dynamics at play when extreme wealth enters the relationship equation. And these factors make finding authentic, lasting love particularly difficult for men of substantial means. Before we dive in, I should clarify what I mean by rich men. I'm talking about the ultra-wealthy, the top 1% men with generational wealth, or those who've amassed fortunes that most people can't comprehend. We're not discussing your average successful professional. We're talking about the kind of wealth that fundamentally changes how others perceive and interact with you. The first major obstacle wealthy men face is the authenticity problem. When you have enormous wealth, you can never be entirely sure why someone is interested in you. Is it your personality, your values, your sense of humor? Or is it the private jet, the mansion in the Hamptons, and the promise of financial security? This constant doubt can be psychologically exhausting. Imagine living in a world where every interaction is potentially transactional, where your value as a person is constantly overshadowed by your value as a resource. Many wealthy men develop a persistent skepticism about others' intentions, particularly potential romantic partners. And honestly, can you blame them? Studies show that financial status significantly impacts dating preferences, especially for men. When your bank account has 9 or 10 figures, it becomes virtually impossible to separate interest in you from interest in what you can provide. This leads to our second point, the paradox of choice. Wealthy men often have access to a much larger dating pool than the average person. Their wealth makes them attractive to people who might otherwise be out of their league in conventional terms. But this abundance of options can actually make finding meaningful connection harder, not easier. Psychologist Barry Schwartz calls this the paradox of choice. When faced with too many options, people often struggle to commit to any single choice. And even when they do, they're less satisfied with their selection. They're constantly wondering if they could have done better. For wealthy men, this can manifest as a reluctance to commit or a tendency to quickly move on when relationships face challenges. Think about it. If you're constantly surrounded by beautiful people who express interest in you, the temptation to keep exploring your options can be overwhelming. And when relationships get difficult, as all relationships inevitably do, it's much easier to walk away when you know there's a line of potential partners waiting for their chance with you. The third factor is something I call the power imbalance trap. Relationships thrive on equality and mutual respect. But when one partner has significantly more financial power, it creates fundamental imbalances that can be difficult to overcome. Many wealthy men, consciously or unconsciously, expect deference from their partners. They're used to being in charge in their professional lives, and that dynamic often seeps into their personal relationships. They may make unilateral decisions about where to live, how to spend money, or major life choices without fully considering their partner's input. This power dynamic can also manifest in more subtle ways. The non-wealthy partner may feel they can't express dissatisfaction or disagreement for fear of jeopardizing their lifestyle or being seen as ungrateful. They might suppress their own needs and desires, leading to resentment that eventually destroys the relationship. I remember reading about a tech billionaire who was genuinely puzzled when his third marriage failed. He claimed he'd given his wife everything she could possibly want. Multiple homes, luxury cars, expensive jewelry, unlimited shopping budget. But what he failed to understand was that his wife didn't want to be a passive recipient of his generosity. She wanted to be an equal partner in building a life together. The fourth challenge is what I call the bubble effect. Extreme wealth often insulates people from normal life experiences. Many wealthy men live in a bubble where they're surrounded by employees, handlers, and people who cater to their every whim. Their experiences become increasingly detached from those of ordinary people. This isolation makes it difficult to form connections based on shared experiences and mutual understanding. When your idea of a tough day involves problems with your private jet while your partner is worried about paying the rent, it creates a fundamental disconnect in perspective. Additionally, many wealthy men become accustomed to instant gratification and having problems solved with money. This can lead to underdeveloped emotional skills like patience, compromise, and working through difficulties, all essential components of successful long-term relationships. The fifth factor is scrutiny and privacy concerns. Wealthy men, especially those with public profiles, live under constant scrutiny. Their relationships are dissected by the media, discussed by strangers online, and sometimes exploited by those around them. This external pressure can strain even the strongest bonds. Many wealthy men also develop trust issues after experiencing relationships where private moments were shared with the press or where ex-partners wrote tell-all books or gave revealing interviews after a breakup. This makes them guarded and reluctant to be vulnerable. Yet vulnerability is essential for genuine intimacy. I was reading an interview with a well-known CEO who explained that he makes all potential partners sign NDAs before they even start dating. While that might protect his privacy, imagine starting a relationship with legal paperwork that essentially says, "I don't trust you." Not exactly the foundation for deep emotional connection, is it? The sixth challenge is what psychologists call hedonic adaptation. The tendency for humans to quickly return to a baseline level of happiness despite positive or negative changes in their circumstances. For wealthy men, this means that the initial excitement and gratification of acquiring expensive possessions, experiences, or even relationships quickly fades. This can lead to a pattern of constantly seeking new sources of stimulation or excitement, including new romantic partners. When the honeymoon phase of a relationship ends, as it inevitably does, many wealthy men mistake this natural evolution for a sign that the relationship itself has failed or that their partner is no longer special enough. I'm reminded of a famous actor who's been married 5 times. In interviews, he consistently describes how each new relationship started with incredible passion and excitement, only to eventually become routine or boring. What he's experiencing isn't a series of failed relationships. It's the normal process of hedonic adaptation combined with unrealistic expectations that each new partner will permanently elevate his baseline happiness. The seventh factor is something I've observed repeatedly. Many wealthy men have sacrificed balanced lives to achieve their success. They've often prioritized work, achievement, and wealth accumulation over developing emotional intelligence, relationship skills, and self-awareness. By the time many men reach extraordinary financial success, they've spent decades focusing primarily on their professional goals. Their emotional development may have been neglected in pursuit of wealth. They might not have learned how to communicate effectively, how to compromise, or how to handle conflict in healthy ways, all essential skills for lasting relationships. Additionally, the traits that contribute to massive financial success, extreme competitiveness, unwavering focus on goals, willingness to work 100-hour weeks, don't necessarily translate well to romantic relationships, which require presence, patience, and the ability to prioritize someone else's needs. The eighth challenge is what I call the yes man environment. Wealthy and powerful men often surround themselves with people who rarely challenge them or tell them no. They're accustomed to deference from employees, business associates, and even friends who may benefit from the relationship. This creates a distorted reality where wealthy men receive little honest feedback about their behavior or personality. They may develop inflated views of their own attractiveness, charm, or relationship skills because few people in their lives are willing to risk the relationship by pointing out flaws or mistakes. When these men enter romantic relationships, they're often unprepared for partners who expect equal footing and who will call them out on problematic behavior. This clash between their expected deference and the reality of healthy relationship dynamics can create significant friction. Have you or someone you know experienced any of these problems? Share your thoughts in the comments. I hope you find this video useful. To help this channel produce more helpful content for you, kindly like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.